Greetings everyone, here are my thoughts on Linux gaming. I've been using Linux as my daily driver for a month now, and I'd like to share my thoughts on Linux gaming. The distro I chose is called Bazite. Bazite? I don't know. It's a Linux distribution that stands out as one of the best for gaming at this moment that I'm writing the script. I'm rocking a Nvidea RTX 2070. I know it's old, but I'm broke and it's still reliable. A Ryzen 5700X and 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. My experience with Linux has been fantastic actually. The ability to customize every inch of my desktop is both empowering and refreshing. As I started experimenting and tweaking with the system and then testing my games, I discovered that performance isn't always as clear-cut as one might expect. I initially assumed that Linux would offer a significant speed boost by eliminating Windows bloatware. Everyone experienced bloat in Windows platform. But surprisingly, while native Linux games such as Cyberpunk 2077 runs better in Linux with around 10 to 20 FPS faster as I've observed, but some titles running through Proton in Steam have slightly lower performance than the Windows counterpart. This could be due to my configuration choices or my own incompetence on using the Linux platform. But it is all what I observe and experience. On Linux, I mainly play games via Steam or GOG. Contrast this with my broader selection on Windows, which includes Xbox, Battle.net, and you know the rest. Although, Proton allows me to enjoy Windows games, but it is not perfect. As I have said earlier, most games that I have tried via Proton are slower than their Windows counterpart. But in conjunction, Linux games that are native in the system or can run natively in Linux are exceptionally better than playing it on Windows. Additionally, my recent foray into Linux feels far more user-friendly than my earlier encounters. I have dabbled with Ubuntu back in high school, Red Hat in college, and Linux Mint in the past. Back then, memorizing terminal commands was a major hurdle. For those unfamiliar with it, the terminal is the Linux version or equivalent of Windows command prompt or PowerShell. While it seems daunting using terminal all the time, especially one misstep might even brick your computer, it grants you unparalleled control over your computer. Installing Bazite was a breeze. I created the boot drive, then installed it on a separate SSD from my Windows, and upon first boot, the Steam greeted me with a login screen. After signing in, I quickly downloaded my favorite games along with the titles I was eager to try, and I even set up GOG on the background while installing Cyberpunk 2077. I appreciate the integration of the App Store, which simplifies installing common applications like OBS, VLC, and others. Even though some apps are not available directly, there's almost always an alternative for every need if you're willing to search for it. I can't glaze Bazite enough, but it's because of how far it has become. Huge kudos to Valve for pioneering initiatives with the Steam Deck and ProtonDB. These efforts have truly transformed the Linux gaming landscape. Although certain games with strict anti-cheat system like Valorant doesn't work on Linux yet, but for anyone who is primarily playing single-player games, especially playing on Steam, I encourage you to install Bazite. But for those who can't fully integrate to Linux or needs Microsoft application or Windows to run their applications, I recommend having a partition and installing Bazite or Linux on a separate partition and try to do a dual boot setup if necessary, or you can also try virtual machines and install it there. Although having to switch systems, applications, or operating system occasionally is a hassle, but that's the way that I can think of as of the moment. Moving forward, I'm actually excited on building a small mini Steam machine running on Buzzite or SteamOS. Actually, SteamOS just came out a few days ago. I'm actually looking forward on testing the SteamOS on my PC whenever I change or upgrade GPUs into an AMD. But hopefully my small project can be used on my living room or perhaps even used as a portable PC on my daily travels. Linux gaming is looking bright, and I wanted to see the future that I can comfortably uninstall Windows and not look back. These are my thoughts on Linux gaming. Enjoy exploring and have a safe travel.